So, back up to the start for a heat of the Princess Royal Challenge Cup semi-final, in fact, between Victoria Thornley, the current European champion in single sculls, the British sculler from Neander Club. We're flying over her there, the boom's close in on her, had a fantastic season. And her opponent from New Zealand, Hannah Osborne. Hannah Osborne in the distinctive black boat. The New Zealanders all row in the black boat these days. These two scullers came up against each other in the recent Poznan World Cup just a couple of weeks ago. There Vicky Thornley had to settle for second place. Very tight race behind Magdalena Lobnig, the Austrian. Guanjing Li, the Olympic bronze medalist, was in third behind Thornley, and Osborne was in that race probably about 3 or 4 lengths behind Thornley. But match racing's very different, Kath.
Absolutely. I think we've seen these sort of results from six-lane racing overturned, but of course this is Victoria's home ground, as it were. She's a Leander member, and so she'll be pretty confident on Henley water.
Such distractions on the start, the noise from the pleasure boats and the enclosures there.
Victoria will want to really kind of stake her claim from the start, really put in a strong start, get away and try and kill this off early. I think she's been wanting to try and dominate more. She's had some really close races, and for her the challenge is, you know, how can she try and put some of these races to bed earlier? It's hard in match racing. She hasn't steered that well off the island, which you might have thought she would know this course a little better, but of course it's tough and actually it's put pressure on her opponent. A very powerful start, very dominant.
Yeah, Victoria Thornley has really blasted this season apart, where she came to the first World Cup in Belgrade, fantastic result there behind the Swiss sculler Janine Gemellen, and then really set the world on fire by taking that European title. It showed it was no flash in the pan by that great result in Poznan, second behind Magdalena Lobnig.
She's had a fantastic season. She's setting records. We've never had women's scullers come out and win this series of medals at every event she's been to so far on the international circuit. So she's absolutely setting some new barriers, and it's the right time for her. She's had her apprenticeship, as it were. She's come through the crew boat. She had a turbulent year and then a fantastic result with Catherine Granger in Rio, but now she wants to break out on her own and show what she's capable of, and she's an incredible athlete, and she's discovering that, and there's so much more to come, and that's what's so exciting about Vicky.
So Hannah Osborne was part of a 3 named in the New Zealand squads back in the spring with Olivia Lee and Brooke Donoghue, those two here in the women's double scull. And Hannah is plying her trade in the women's single, the 3 of them I think coached by James Coote. And I would say that's a pretty decent start for the Kiwi.
Yeah, she'll be pleased to be, well in contact. Vicky will wanted to try and get out ahead, I think. It's tough on this water for the single sculls, of course. They get rocked about the most. Of all the boat classes, this is the slowest boat class, and so the water, the roughness here, hits these scullers more, and that just increases tension sometimes. So it's hard to have a really powerful start when you've got rocky water.
Yeah.
So that, over the course, it's important as well how they handle that, how efficient they can stay by being relaxed in the water. But there's no doubt they are putting each other under a lot of pressure here, and it's a real gladiatorial battle we've got in front of us.
Two scullers head-to-head. Victoria Thornley of Great Britain on the left of your picture, the all-black, rowing in the colours of Wairiki. Hannah Osborne from New Zealand. She's on the right, and you couldn't put a cigarette paper between the two of them at the moment. It's very close.
Fantastic race, overseen by Sarah Winklis, Olympic bronze medalist and the first woman to umpire last year for Henley Royal Regatta. So fantastic to have her overseeing this race as well.
So Victoria Thornley, she's no stranger to rough water. She did a barrier piece, which is kind of the warm-up piece, just a couple of days before the regatta, in the wash of a Molesey veterans crew, which I don't think she was best pleased of. They weren't so kind, but her coach Paul Reedy said that's what you've got to cope with, you've got to put up with, and he's been a real sort of source of inspiration to her, the Australian who coached the lightweight women's double scull to gold in the London 2012 Olympics, a thinking coach, and Well, one of the men you might think of is in pole position to take over from Jürgen Grobler when he actually does eventually retire, whenever that one may be, sometime in the future.
It's a great partnership, actually, Vicky Thornley and Paul Reedy. I think they understand each other's temperaments. They've known each other because they've been on the team for a while, and they're very well suited. And they both have a real sparky nature to them. They like to be a bit of a rebel. They like to get out there and do their own thing. And so, they appreciate that in each other. And you need that if you're doing the single scull. You've got to have a bit of that personality that, in a way, sometimes you don't have room for in a crew boat. And I think Vicky's discovering that and enjoying that. But she's also being tested. She's learning enormously. You go on a whole new learning curve if you're in a single scull. And certainly in a sort of head-to-head race like this, she's learning all the time.
Well, one of the things that Paul Reedy has been working on with Vicky Thornley is a sprint finish, because normally she's such a tall athlete. She's got such fantastic levers, 1 metre 93 centimetres tall, that that sort of long levers didn't really give her the chance to lift the rating at the finish. But, in both the Europeans and I think in Poznan World Cup, she shows she does have a sprint finish in the back pocket, and that's down to this relationship we talked of with Paul Reedy, her Australian coach, and the fluidity which he's helped her sort of develop around the back turn and on the recovery.
She does, and she's needed that sprint finish each time. But I think in a way the next step is for her to try and put some races to bed earlier and not have to rely on it. And I think particularly at Henley, if you can break someone, then you can sort of get ahead, get the water, and that's what she's trying to do now. She's trying to put in a move and actually get some clear water, and she's starting to go. She's just increased the intensity around the catches, she's increased the rate, just sharpened it up, and it's a move that at the moment doesn't look like the Kiwi girl can respond to.
And that's what comes from confidence, isn't it? Confidence of a great season. She's just thrown something in there in the middle of the race. She's kind of feels she's got the measure of Hannah Osborne from the Te Awamutu Rowing Club near Hamilton in New Zealand.
She's got gears, that's what we're seeing. She's got gears, and we know she has a sprint if she needs it at the end as well. But I think, there's a feeling looking back on the races over this season, actually, maybe she could have done something sooner in the races. She needs to build that confidence, which she's getting all the time, that actually she doesn't need to be in the sprint finish. She's so talented, the length she has is so effective that, she doesn't need to use that sprint finish.
Well, the women's field for the World Championship single sculls happening in Sarasota Brandenton, to me, is wide open. You've got Duan Jingli of China, Magdalena Lobnig, Anna-Catherine Thiele, of course, is here, waits on the other side of the draw. The Swiss, Janine Gemellen. But, Vicky Thornley, she could be the world champion in this event. It's that close, the margins, and this will be an important stepping stone for her, really, to sort of put Hannah Osborne away in this race, get a bit of confidence, maybe take on Thiele in the final tomorrow if that's how the draw pans out, and then go on to Lucerne with that behind her.
Yeah, it's exciting for her because there's no one you fear when you look at that field. There's incredible class in that field of women's single sculls, but there's no one person that you fear. In the past, you might have sort of feared some of the great names,
like Kim Brennan that we saw.
Absolutely, yeah. Kim Brennan, and the Belarusian before that. For her, the task is, can she actually start to do some damage psychologically and put herself in the frame that actually others are worried about her? And it's very psychological in the single scull. You want to be the person people don't want to be in the semi-final with. You want to be the one that they don't want to be racing in the heats, and start to kind of show that actually someone's going to step out of this field at the World Championships, and we don't yet know who that could be, but it absolutely could be Vicky Thornley.
So will Vicky Thornley tomorrow be able to add her name to a very distinguished list of winners in this event? It looks that way at the moment. She's going to be in with a shout as we see that beautiful shot down towards the end of the Henley course. The scullers have got about 300 metres to go now. It looks like the job's done from the Leander Club sculler. She's navigated through the difficult conditions on a Saturday with those pleasure boats going down. The booms keep a bit of the wash off, but not all of it. Hannah Osborne head-to-head with her in the first K, but then in the second 1,000 metres, Vicky Thornley put the foot down. Yeah,
she's in control, absolutely. I mean, Hannah Osborne has rowed very well, but didn't have that extra gear. And when Vicky decided, OK, I'm doing a move now, she just wasn't able to respond to that.
Beautiful shot of the wing rigger of that yellow Empacher sculling boat, the German boat that the British squad favour. And you can really see why it's called a wing rigger, because it does look from the front, really like it's a bird flying over the water, doesn't it? Great efficiency in the way that she's rowed that race. So Victoria Thornley comes up to the finish line in this semi-final of the Princess Royal Challenge Cup for women's single sculls, ahead of her opponent Hannah Osborne, representing Wairiki Rowing Club New Zealand here. It's the Leander Club sculler who takes that verdict ahead of Osborne, and the Olympic silver medalist with Kath Granger in women's double sculls just tries her best to recover for tomorrow.